Debates about Russia's internal authoritarian politics have long been defined by questions over the relative importance of security or military elites compared to their civilian counterparts. Some have called Russia a militocracy, while others suggest the balance of power subordinates the military to bureaucrats, the Moscow Times media outlet says. It is noted that accounts of the privileged position of other so-called power ministries, such as the FSB or the Interior Ministry, tend to fall somewhere in the middle. They are highly important, but not singularly so, given the unique autocratic legitimacy that sits at the very heart of the Kremlin. Nevertheless, since the onset of the war in 2022, observers have noted the rising stature of the Ministry of Defense, MOD, and the FSB. Because of the ongoing need for materiel and the armed forces reconstitution, the MOD now directs a large portion of Russia's economy. Further, veterans of the invasion have been identified by President Vladimir Putin himself as being critical future assets for the regime's delayed but inevitable generational passing of the torch within its elite cohorts. The latest round of evidence that the composition of Russia's bureaucratic elite remains more fluid than a cursory glance came on October the 31st with the appointment of Vasily Osmakov as the new Deputy Defense Minister. Osmakov replaces Colonel General Alexander Fomin, who has held the position since 2017. This continues a pattern of renewing civilian leadership inside Russia's wartime defense ministry following resignations, rather than installing cadres with military or security service backgrounds. Rather than promoting militocracy, at least in the MOD today, we see a growing cohort of civilian background leadership emerging to steer the vast ship of Russia's military fiscal state. Far from having a background in the security services, Osmakov was trained at Moscow State University and the State University of Management. He is a technocrat, versed in import substitution and the pharmaceutical industry in particular. This appointment follows on the heels of the most notable political shakeup in the regime since the war began, with the ouster of long-standing Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu in May of last year. Shoigu was shunted off to the Security Council and replaced by the statist, technocrat, economist Andrei Belousov. Belousov's appointment, alongside those of other civilians, including Putin's relative Anna Sivilyova, can be understood in a few ways. First, given the tremendous economic assets now under MOD purview, the need for efficiency and streamlining is self-evident. This is even clearer given the notoriously opaque, unmodernized, and convoluted internal administrative processes within the ministry. The MOD, even more than other Russian ministerial institutions, has been known as a domain of personal fiefdoms, easy corruption, and overlapping authorities. The lure of bringing technocratic expertise from outside to both manage and audit MOD expenditures and processes is natural, especially as disappointing battlefield results provide a ready-made reason to suggest fresh blood is needed. Second, the ongoing anti-corruption purge has had two primary targets: military officials and the lower-tier caste of governors and mayors who got on the wrong side of the Kremlin. Plugging the MOD's new gaps with technocratic civilians without patronage networks within the institution plausibly keeps both the military and its direct overseers in check. This is a form of coup-proofing, ensuring that officials with access to significant coercive force have neither the personal base nor the inclination to threaten the regime. But it is also the Kremlin's vote of no confidence in the upper-tier military bureaucratic elites that rose under Shoigu's tenure. In the same way that Russia's operational commanders have seen considerable churn since the war began, so too has the cohort that had long been protected and nurtured under the former defense minister. Finally, parachuting in technocrats from other, frankly, more competent ministries suggests that the regime is well aware that it is in danger of bureaucratic sclerosis. even during a period where exigency and extraordinary activity should be motivating factors for institutional elites.
Red poppy flowers were dropped onto soldiers, politicians, and onlookers from across the world gathered in western Belgium on Tuesday to commemorate the end of World War I. According to Associated Press, they laid wreaths at a newly renovated memorial for the fallen in Ypres, the Belgian town that earned the grim honor of being synonymous with the brutality of conflict. Tuesday is known as Armistice Day, or Veterans Day in the United States and Remembrance Day in Britain, Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa, marking the end of World War I. We want to give the younger generation, the new generations, a view of what happens when you don't agree around the table, said Benoit Matry, head of the Last Post Association, which organizes the annual ceremony in Ypres. In history, after war, after devastation, comes reconciliation, and after war there comes peace. The tragedy is that we should do it without war, he added. From 1914 to 1918, the armies of France, the British Empire, Russia, and the US fought against a German-led coalition that included the Austro-Hungarian and Ottoman empires. The war killed almost 10 million soldiers, sometimes tens of thousands on a single day. Hundreds of thousands died in Ypres alone. The blood-soaked fields of the Flanders region saw the development of more modern ways to kill. Horses galloped next to tanks. Poison gas was introduced. Aerial surveillance provided precision to artillery that overwhelmed medieval fortifications. In the wake of the war to end all wars, and then World War II, a modern geopolitical system was forged with an aim to avert future conflicts, giving birth to the United Nations and the European Union. Decades later, across once devastated Europe, nations are again rearming, plowing investments into the defense industry in response to Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine.